Okay, this review is on the mosquito magnet. As you can see right here, we're going to talk about this is a device that actually works, and if it does work, if it's right for your yard and for your needs. So let's get talking about the mosquito magnet. Okay, let's talk about the how this machine actually works. First of all, you have a propane tank in the back, and this is a source of carbon dioxide. It goes through the machine and is emitted down below, and that simulates your breath, the emission of the carbon dioxide. Also inside is an attractant that's put in, and that is to kind of to help bring the mosquitoes in specifically too. So again, you're emitting carbon dioxide, and this attractant's coming out to bring the mosquitoes in. There's not a lot of them out right now, but it's not unusual for this to actually be kind of swarming right in here with mosquitoes. So it does do an effective job. Inside, you have a fan, it creates a vacuum, and you get this little catching net. Now, so the concept is the mosquitoes follow in the CO2, the carbon dioxide, and then they get brought in by the fan and trapped in the net. And in truth, your results are going to vary on how effective it is. So let's go into some more of the details. Okay, you can't really tell too well, but this is the number of insects I've caught in the last couple weeks. Not a huge amount for the amount of cost, but we'll talk about the cost in a minute. However, a lot of the effectiveness, or the main determiner of your successfulness, is where you put your mosquito magnet. Now, it will cover about an acre's worth of land, or so it says, but the ideal spot is an area that is very still, where you have very little wind. And the reason for that is the carbon dioxide that's emitted will kind of pool, bringing in more and more insects, or mosquitoes, allowing them to get sucked up. Where I'm at right here, you can kind of see I have a bit of a breeze. So the carbon dioxide that's created gets blown away, therefore it's less effective. I have a friend who uses this exact unit, and he said he was able to find a very, very still spot in his yard, and that net that he has, that I showed, is full almost every day. So that tells me that placement is key. The ability for the carbon dioxide to come out and the attractant and stay and not get blown away is the key to your success. Not necessarily it happens to be a spot that has a lot of mosquitoes specifically, but an area where it is partially protected. Okay, I think we've answered the question of, is the mosquito magnet effective? I think with proper placement it can be very effective. The next question is it worth it? The machine itself is not cheap by any means, but you also have every 3 weeks that you have to replace your propane tank, which is roughly $20. You need to replace the attractant, and you also need to blow out the machine. It does come with, you do have the ability to get some CO2 cartridges to blow it out, but you also must replace the net. So there's a fair amount of expense every 3 weeks. Propane tank alone is $20. It's an absolute must. I've heard mixed results on the attractant. It definitely is going to work better with the attractant than without, but that's another expense sitting in the net. So you can count on probably about, on average, $40 a month or so worth of upkeep. Just the propane tanks alone will set you back quite a bit. So you have to decide if this is worthwhile. Okay, time for the final verdict on the mosquito magnet. A couple things. One is it will suck in mosquitoes. It will also bring mosquitoes away from maybe where your family's at, because it's not uncommon for there to be 10 or so mosquitoes below this unit. So that's a good thing. On the downside, it's not completely effective, and two, because it depends on location. If you don't have a real still spot in your yard, you're probably going to be somewhat disappointed. And the second thing is, it really is expensive. I mean, you need to kind of evaluate the expense versus the reward on it. If you think you have a real, kind of like I said, still spot, and you can handle the upkeep costs, this is a good way to do it. It's much more effective than say bug zappers or things that don't kill mosquitoes, and it's an organic solution, so you don't actually have to worry about poisons and pesticides, but there is a lot of upkeep to it. One thing I didn't mention is that this is still, even though it does have natural gas, it is run electrically. The fan is run electrically, so you know, it's always pulling electricity. Not a lot, but it does pull some. So my final verdict on it, I'm going to give it 4 stars. Really know what your needs are, and it will work, but there is a kind of like a disposable razor. There's always going to be upkeep to it. So 4 stars.